What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the New Media Podcast. I'm your host, We hope you enjoyed the last episode because, as always, today's going to be an even better episode. Of course, everybody's here with me today. I got the whole crew with me. Everybody's in the house. And, of course, we got some more NBA talk, NBA news that we're gonna have to get around to right now. Some of the topics that we have on display for today, we're gonna be doing a little bit of a NBA season recap, little post All-Star break. Standing playoff predictions, contenders and pretenders discussion, more MVP talk, and whether or not we believe Nikola Jokic deserves his third MVP. The state of the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks are one of the hottest teams in the league right now, streaking on a 13-game win streak right now. But some questions about the window of opportunity closing quickly, something that we'll discuss today. And then we'll go ahead and close out with what stars we think are under the most pressure to win a championship this year. So a lot to get into, but of course, before we jump into everything, temperature check. How's everybody doing?
And post All-Star break, this when the NBA gets serious. So our teams lock in.
1-0 so far post All-Star break, so I'm loving it.
I mean, I don't even want to get into the second half of the post All-Star break right now. I want to talk about this All-Star game that we just witnessed. You know, such poor basketball being played. Basically, Mac McClung being the highlight of All-Star weekend. It's not a good look for the NBA, man. But of course, I'm excited for this last stretch of games for the NBA season as we wrap up and head into the NBA playoffs. That's when the real party starts. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into. I feel like we should jump right into the MVP talk and whether or not we believe Nikola Jokic deserves his third MVP. So media members a couple of weeks ago came out and they did their they did their voting, and they in the conclusion they said that Nikola Jokic was favored to win the MVP award by pretty much a landslide. He finished with 77 first place votes. Giannis coming in second with 11, and Joel Embiid and Jason Tatum and Luka Doncic combining for 13 first place votes. So it looks like these guys have Nikola Jokic being the runaway favorite, and a lot of people have their problems with it. So the question that I pose to you guys is, do you guys have any problem with it? And do you guys believe Nikola Jokic should be the front runner for the MVP award right now?
I think my issue isn't so much as Jokic winning the MVP being problematic. My problem is it being a complete landslide. That's just absolutely ridiculous. When you, for example, look at Giannis, what he's been doing, right? They're on a 13-game win streak, and at the forefront of that has been Giannis. When Middleton's been out all season, Giannis has been ridiculous. Outside of maybe a week stretch of games where Giannis kind of struggled, Giannis has been flawless all season long. Of course, we know how he is defensively and offensively. I mean, the guy's averaging 30, 32, and 12. The number 2 seed right behind Boston, with his second option being out for a majority of the season. For him to not even basically have a contest in this, not even have a chance to potentially win this MVP is just crazy to me. Same thing applies to Joel Embiid. I mean, this guy potentially is going to be leading the NBA in scoring back-to-back seasons. I mean, who has done that since Shaq? That's the last time I think a center has ever done that. Like, that's just crazy to me. And the fact that he doesn't have an opportunity to even win this, he's probably not going to be a first team All NBA. He barely got in as a starter just because of KD getting injured. It just feels like Joel Embiid, what more can you do? At this point, if I'm him, I just tone it down offensively. There's no point in him going all out offensively. I would just reserve my energy for the playoffs because it looks like the regular season, he's not getting rewarded with anything. For Jokic to be a clear cut runner, just run away with this. It's just unfair to every other player in this to me. Even Jason Tatum, I don't think he's the MVP at all, but I do think Jason Tatum they're the best team in the NBA, plain and simple. And he's been at the forefront of that. Jason Tatum's been a big reason why the Boston Celtics have been producing like this. And for him to, again, have no argument in this, I just disagree with this. I just feel like it's unfair from the voters.
Yeah, I agree with you as well. I do believe Jokic is going to win MVP this year, but with the voters saying it's going to be a landslide, to me, it's kind of disrespectful to guys like Giannis, Tatum, and Embiid. To me, Giannis, a guy sitting at 42 and 17 or 43 and 17 on a 13-game win streak, averaging 33, 14 and 7, been playing phenomenal all year, and to say that he's not that close to Jokic in the MVP voting is ridiculous. Another guy, Tatum, number 1 in the East, 43 and 17. Another guy that's been phenomenal for his team, one of the best players in the league right now, and he's been hooping on both sides of the ball. To say he's not close in the MVP ranking as well, it's crazy. I mean, goes just for Embiid as well. Averaging about to average the most points in the league back-to-back years, and as a center doing that, it's crazy. And the defensive output that he puts on, I feel like it should be a lot closer. You know, I know Jokic is gonna win it. He's playing fantastic. The numbers he's putting up, the efficiency, the way he's been playing, phenomenal. But I don't think it should be a landslide. And I feel like it should be much closer between, you know, him, Giannis, and, you know, Embiid and Tatum should be up there as well. But he's gonna win it though. So yeah.
I mean, I think that's what people have that's where the problem lies. Not necessarily with Jokic being, you know, the leader for the MVP award. It's more so, you know, the contest not really being a competition. It's pretty much in the landslide favor. But then again, on the other side, you gotta come to, you know, an understanding that, you know, what Nikola Jokic is doing is something that hasn't ever been done by a big before. This guy's coming in every single night, averaging he's a walking triple double as a center. That's something that we don't necessarily see a lot. Last time we saw a guy do that was Russell Westbrook, but that's a guy who has the ball in his hands and he's a floor general for the team. And I know Nikola Jokic just has a similar role with the Nuggets, but for him to be doing that as a big man night in and night out, I believe it's very, very impressive. But I personally don't necessarily have a problem with Nikola Jokic being the front runner for the MVP and it being a landslide, simply because when you look around the league, you know, you look at Joel Embiid, you look at Giannis, you look at Tatum, you know, those guys have all been great. But personally, I feel like there really hasn't been anybody that's been playing better than Nikola Jokic. And you look at the standings right now, and yes, Boston they're the number one team in all of basketball by a game, and then you have Philly and then you have Denver that are pretty much tied for that second spot. You know, you look at the supporting cast each of these guys have, you know, Tatum with Jaylen Brown and, you know, Marcus Smart. You have Giannis, pretty much he's been doing it by himself alongside, you know, his co-all-star Drew Holiday. But you go ahead and look at a team like the Denver Nuggets, it's pretty much been the Nikola Jokic show. And, you know, all the credit in the world to Jamal Murray for coming back from his ACL injury and him sitting out for all of last year. But for the most part, the beginning of the season, Nikola Jokic took a backseat for him and to allow him to get his feet back from under him. And Michael Porter Jr. has been in and out of the lineup. So I feel like Jokic has done a lot more with less in comparison to these guys. But, you know, one guy that I'm starting to feel a little bit bad for with all of this, you know, coming about is Joel Embiid. For a guy that's to be in the MVP conversation for a third year in a row and to put up the numbers that he's put up, you know, I just feel like this guy, when history is all said and done, this guy is just going to be the guy that we thought that was second to the number one guy, Nikola Jokic. Because what more can this guy do to surpass him? And, you know, it's just going to take a lot each and every year. You know, last year it took an injury for him to get knocked out of that MVP race, and then now it's pretty much it's in favor of Nikola Jokic. So personally, I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but I know a lot of people just don't like that. You know, the gap is so large for him to get 77 first place votes and the next person being Giannis with 11. That's where the problem lies. And then when it's all said and done, let's go ahead and say, rhetorically speaking, like, you know, Jokic does get this third MVP. What does that say about Giannis when he was back to back and he could have potentially won it for his third year? Like, do you guys feel like, you know, voters fatigue should be kicking in at some point?
Who won?
I feel like
third year?
Jokic,
I'm pretty sure it was Jokic.
The thing is, though,
Close
like, Jokic is such a media darling. That's my issue with it. Like, let's keep it 100. He's a media darling. People love the advanced stats about Jokic. They love the fact that he's a passing center. He blows every offensive stat or advanced stat out the water. I mean, any advanced stat that you can name him, Jokic is probably number one, number two, and he's such a media darling in that aspect. And versus like someone like Giannis, where people have an issue with Giannis's game in general. Forget about him being subjected to voter fatigue. People don't even like Giannis's game. So I feel like it's more so related to play styles and how people love how Jokic gets everybody involved. And, you know, this guy's gonna have maybe a 15, 10, and 10, but he's gonna impact the game versus Giannis, where he can routinely put up 30 and 15 every single night and nobody bats an eye. So, I mean, I don't know why in this case
Giannis' free throws, him just playing bully ball, just putting his shoulder down. Like, I mean, he gets the job done, you know. But at the same time, like I'd be saying, it's different type of styles of play. And one person it attracts more. So I do feel like it is, you know, the voters do like that type of style, and they do get attracted to that. And it's, you know, he's gonna get his third MVP ultimately. So hey, man, but like we talked earlier about, what was it, like 2 episodes. If he doesn't do anything in the playoffs, he's not really the best player in the league. You know, you're gonna have all these 3 MVPs in a row, but if you're not coming out with a chip after the third one, it's like, hey, you doing all this for what?
I mean, three MVPs does sound nice though. Has a nice little ring to it.
It has a nice little ring to it. You know what I'm saying? Steve Nash had 2 back to back, but where's he at now? You know, he ended his career with no ring. So I feel like, you know, he got to perform in the playoffs to get that best player award. But he's one of the best in the league, though.
Yeah, I mean, this whole situation kind of reminds me of, you know, when Steph Curry won back to back, him, you know, being the media favorite and his game being aesthetically pleasing and stuff like that. I can see where the argument comes from for Nikola Jokic, where, you know, all the advanced stats, he's the best at it, and him always getting his guys involved, being the center. But, you know, I feel like regardless of the situation, there's nobody else that's more deserving of this award than him right now. And with, you know, little less than, you know, 20 games of the regular season, you know, this award is going to come down to the very end. And, you know, a couple weeks.
I feel like it's wrapped up already, man. I feel like the media already has who they're voting for. I feel like it's a done deal. Unless some sort of injury happens to any one of these players, I feel like it's already wrapped up. Like, it's already in Jokic's hands.
I think
he can do no wrong in the media's eyes.
I think Giannis got a chance with the way they're playing right now on a 13-game win streak.
Unless they go on like a 20-some game win streak, yeah. I don't think they're gonna bat an eye.
Giannis got a chance. I'm not gonna lie. But
so right now, you don't think nobody has a chance right now, Abdi?
No, I think it's wrapped up, man. I feel like they already have it in their mind that Jokic is gonna win MVP. Like, I mean, in mid-season, already 70-something%. That's just crazy. That means it's already in their head that Jokic is gonna win MVP. They've written it off.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it sounds like they're not giving anybody a fair shot at this award, but. It's going to be interesting to see how this award and this race plays out, because, you know, one injury can pretty much change everything for the front runner of the MVP award. So, you know, right now, for me, I mean, I do believe he does deserve this award, regardless of it being a landslide and him having it wrapped up. And with that being said, we'll go ahead and move on to the NBA. Let's go ahead and talk about the NBA season, and we'll go ahead and give it a little bit of a recap. And
record a new hit, then we making us a film. Wouldn't sign a deal if I got a couple mil. Been in the lab, now they throwing out deals. Me and now H, now that's overkill.